Hello and welcome to Chez Zasaa. Now today we are doing a Zasaa Zooms In where I zoom in with one of my friends and we just have a conversation. And today we have got a very special guest. Very special because number one, he's family, and number two, he's male. We haven't had we haven't had a man on this particular. Oh, well, okay, we had tete-a-tete with Tiwa, but on Zasaa Zooms In on Chez Zasaa, we haven't had a man yet. So you're the first man on Zasaa Zooms In on Chez Zasaa. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And I'm going to get you to introduce yourself. You have 20 seconds to tell us anything you want. It doesn't have to be like professional, whatever you want about yourself. So 20 seconds, what would you say? How would you introduce yourself?
I'll introduce myself as Dr. Remi Banjoko, ex-doctor, now a goat herder, and in love with charity work in Rwanda. So that's about it, really.
Fantastic. So, right there in that statement, there's many things to unpack. So we're going to start unpacking. Okay. Now, first, doctor.
Yeah, I guess it just sticks calling yourself an ex-doctor. I mean, Dr. Banjoko, but I haven't practiced for like 15 years.
Okay. So, doctor, but you actually practice. Why did you stop practicing?
It was getting in the way of my lifestyle.
What does that mean? Explain, please. What was your lifestyle that doctoring was getting in the way of?
Obviously, as a Nigerian, we all grow up with the same advice. Go to school, get a degree, get a job, without really thinking, is this really what I'm called to do as a person? And of course, along the way, I knew really medicine wasn't my real passion. I did it because, it sounded like a good idea. Mm-hmm. But along the way, while practicing medicine, I got heavily involved in business. I then got heavily involved in charity work. And then I found that going to the surgery, going to the hospital was interfering with my business life and my charity life. To the point where I had to pay doctors to cover for me. So I could travel to Rwanda or travel for business. And it became ridiculous. Something had to give.
So clearly the business and the charity took priority as far as you were concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you then said goat herder.
Yes.
And I love it when you introduce yourself like that. So you're a goat herder. You didn't start off as a goat herder. When you left medicine, did you just go straight into goat herding?
Oh no, when I left medicine, it was more to do with the financial markets and real estate. We also had an online brokerage firm, which I then took to Nigeria and quit medicine and went there. But along the way, I discovered agriculture, which now I'm passionate about agriculture because now that I've discovered agriculture and farming, and I run 2 farms in Rwanda, one being a goat farm. That's why I like the title goat herder. But we also do horticultural farming with passion fruit, watermelons, and tomatoes and bell peppers.
So I'm trying to work out which one you are more passionate about because obviously I know you from the money financial, and you're very passionate about that. But you're actually quite passionate about this farming thing too. Are they on a par or?
Yes, they are. I think you can be passionate about a lot of things.
I know. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, does one out of those two, is one more than the other or not?
No, not really. So long as I don't have to do the heavy lifting, those are the businesses I'm interested in. I can do from afar, and that's what I love about farming. It's just more managing the people you employ and getting the right stuff. But I love, the returns you get. I love the freedom it gives you.
You're a businessman.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's even talk about, because one of the things that I try to do on this show is, and just, there's a lot of stuff, especially in our community, that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And I'm just hoping that if I can have conversations with someone about it, then hopefully other people will start to have conversations and see that it's not such a taboo thing. So we're trying to touch all the topics that probably are not the sort of thing that people will normally talk about. And I think money is one of those topics that people don't like to talk about. When I was introducing you to my friend, I said he's a money man because that's how I kind of put you. I don't know if anybody calls you that. Is that how you So you see, so it's your thing. Now, why is money important, would you say? Okay, first of all, is money important?
Very important.
Why?
Very important. Especially because of the charity work I do. And like I always tell people, you can't help anyone if you're broke. And I think it actually comes back to what I talk a lot about, wealth psychology. That's what we call a poverty mindset. You want to be comfortable in what you're doing. But if you think about it, really, there is really, if you want to eat, you have to pay.
Yeah.
You know, they say the basic human needs, food, shelter, and clothing, they're not free. Now, when you now think about things like school fees, your bills, your rent, you want to help people, help charity, it's all involves money. So that statement that you don't need money, it's very false.
Okay, so poverty mindset. Let's say somebody has poverty mindset.
Yeah.
You know, how can you? Because I think it's quite. I mean, any mindset is hard to break out of.
Yeah.
But how do you break out of a? Because I think to a certain extent, you know, like I always say that I have. I think my husband says it's poverty mindset, but I always say it's like manage. You know, I was brought up to just get on with it.
Yeah.
So you know, like when something happens, you kind of work out how to just get on with it. You know what I mean? So you manage. So let's say the cooker breaks down, you manage yourself with the microwave until you can. You know what I mean? I suppose which I think maybe you don't need to manage, but you do. So how do you break out of that when you're so used to maybe not having it? Because I think even when people they didn't have enough, when they now have enough, they still tend to have that mindset sometimes in their field.
Yeah, I think this is where financial literacy comes in. Because most people don't understand money and understand the reality of money. So, for example, in most of my seminars, I start off by explaining what inflation is to people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through that. We don't have the time for that. But inflation basically is just the cost of living and the rising in the cost of living. So the simple thing, for example, now in the UK, inflation is like 10% and going up. So if your salary is not going up by 10%, then you can't afford even basic life. So once you now understand that your salary, whatever investment you're doing is not even keeping pace to inflation, and you know that if you keep earning money less than inflation for the rest of your life, you're going to retire broke. Emphasis on broke.
I noticed there was a big emphasis
Exactly.
on broke.
So once you now understand that's the reality
Yeah.
and that's where you're heading, then the choice is yours.
Okay.
Do you want to carry on that path, knowing that you're heading towards financial ruin, or you want to do something about it? It's really as simple as that. And once you understand that, you then realize that that poverty mindset is not going to help you.
Yeah, but so is it that easy to just come away from it?
It's not easy, but I think once you now realize the stark reality of where you're heading, which is where I try and put people in that stark reality. Okay, number one is for me to educate you about the reality of life.
Yeah.
This is not my fault. This is just the reality of life.
Yeah.
And the question is to ask you, are you happy on your trajectory to poverty and financial ruin, or do you want to do something about it?
Oh my life.
So it's now up to you. If you say, because I always tell people that you have two choices. You either do something about it or do nothing. If you do nothing, when you're broke at retirement, you can't say you're surprised.
Yeah.
At least you'll get there broke and say, oh, I knew I was going to be broke. No problem.
Yeah.
And then the choice is yours.
Yeah.
But I'm sure most people will not want to do that. Once they realize the
Okay,
reality.
so once they realize the gravity and they decide they want to do something, how easy is it to do something? So let's say, for example, there's someone who is in a lot of debt and doesn't have a particularly good job. So they're just about making ends meet, just about. I mean, literally, they're living from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
How do they realize that they're heading for, what did you say? Financial ruin. They realize that they're heading for financial ruin, but they don't know how to, because as far as they're concerned, and this is scenario, right? So as far as they're concerned, they're doing their job and they're getting paid, but they're not getting paid enough. Everything, like you said, inflation, everything is going up. So they're trying their best, but they don't. What would you say they should do now? Here, what's the first thing? How do they move?
Again, it's changing your mindset.
Okay.
Thankfully, I shouldn't use the word thankfully, but I've been through financial ruin. I've been through bankruptcy.
But maybe that's why you are who you are today.
Yeah, but that's actually why I'm trying to teach people. I don't think you should go through bankruptcy to, get your head right. But I've been through all those sort of stuff where I've been forced to change my lifestyle. I've been forced to change the way I spend money because I now realize what took me into bankruptcy. So my always advice to them is that, look, things have to change. Things just have to change. You can't say, okay, I want to now become financially secure, financially well off, but I'm not going to change anything in my life. I'm not going to change my expenses. I'm not going to change what I do. I'm not going to do anything. And of course, things are going to stay the same.
So, okay, are you saying then, for argument's sake, I think you're saying that the person I described, that's literally ends cannot meet, and all they're paying for is their bills and their food and everything. You are saying that there's something they can change.
Oh, yes.
Like what?
Everything.
Okay.
Because, for example, now, I'll give you two examples. One is a personal example, and one is somebody who was attending one of my seminars and gave me a very good testimony of how she paid off her credit card debt, paid off her loans after listening to me talk. Because I think what most people don't want to do is change their lifestyle, and they worry about what other people say. Because I remember when I was going through my own financial issues, I had a Jeep. I was spending lots of money on, diesel.
So yeah.
I had Sky TV subscription. I used to go and shop at Harrods. All that had to go. The car had to go. I had to downsize. I had to stop shopping. I canceled my Sky subscription. People don't want to do that.
So what about someone that doesn't have? They just have normal TV.
Yeah.
But they're still struggling. Are you trying to say that person?
I think most people, if you're going to be honest with yourself,
There's
they think
something they
you
can
can cut out. I mean, like I said, when I went through my bankruptcy, at the time, 70% of my income was going to the bankruptcy estate. I had to live on 30% of my income.
And you did.
And even then, I cut my hours to part-time because I said there's no point in me working for the bankruptcy exit. So I was just doing 2 days a week. And I had to live on 30% of my income. So that's what I'm saying. I've been through that. So, but the things that most people do, if they're brutally honest with themselves, is that you don't want to cut your lifestyle. You still want to,
Have the same
same lifestyle. I mean, holidays, going to restaurants, going for everything had to cut.
I may be wrong, but I feel like there could be someone, and maybe I am wrong, that actually there will be something they can cut, but I'm not sure it will make, when you say Harrods Jeep, they now say travel, everything. Some people are not doing all of those things.
But there are two ways you can get yourself financially free.
Yeah.
One is to increase your income.
Yeah.
And two is to reduce your expenses.
Okay, and those are the only two ways.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
There's nothing like winning the lottery.
No. I mean, the chances are very slim.
Yes, I know. Okay.
So the realistic ones that you have in your control are those two things.
Yeah.
The easiest one is cutting your expenses. I always say
that's easier than increasing your income. I guess you don't have control over it.
No, but you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs. But that's tough. But again, you can do both. I had to do both when I went through my issues. I had to do both. But drastically cut my expenses and increase my income. So you can do both.
Yeah.
But that cutting of expenses has to be a crucial part of it. I had one person who told me, no, I can't cut my Sky subscription. Oh, I can't stop going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
But it adds up. I think what people don't realize that everything adds up. Like every little helps.
Exactly.
Effectively. Yeah. So I guess I get that,
Yeah.
But I'm just fighting for those people that really don't think that they can say anything. But I guess there will be something they
can. In fact, I can give you so many testimonies of a janitor who became a millionaire from saving his half of his janitor's salary and investing it.
That's the key thing, isn't it?
But that's the key. But the first thing is to get your money, your financial. So
you have something to save.
Yeah.
I guess that's the first
thing.
Okay. So the key thing is to have spare income. Spare in inverted commas. Yes.
That's the first
and
thing.
Then we cannot become millionaires, or can we become millionaires if we're not investing? Is that possible?
No. Unfortunately, with the rate of inflation and with money in your savings account, basically money in a bank is dead money.
Yeah, I hear all the time,
yeah. So if you have your money in a savings account or your bank account, you're not going to be wealthy with that. So that's just money being idle, doing nothing. So you do have to invest that money to get good returns and better returns than inflation. So that money has to go and work for you.
Okay. And you see, it's so funny because I always hear this about let your money work for you, etc. Which, yes. So how do you then now, for somebody that knows nothing about investing, and we're always seeing, and I'm actually going to talk like a completely ignorant person here for the benefit of this. You're always seeing the stock exchange, something crashing, people losing a lot of money and whatnot. How do you know what to do? How do you go about, because this is my spare money that I've just reduced my expenditure for.
Yeah.
And then I'm now going to put it somewhere that potentially, or not, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but potentially I could lose it.
Yeah. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. So you need to acquire knowledge, which means work. Which means you have to stop watching TV, stop being on the phone. You have to use your time to educate and learn. And these things are not rocket science. They're easy to learn. You have to put, again, my background is medicine. It wasn't finance, accounting and all. I had to learn these things myself. I had to read books, go to seminars and learn. But there are easy things to learn. But just to make it simple, For example, in the financial markets, there are things called index funds that you can
Okay.
easily invest in that can give you good 10-15% return a year.
And what would you get if you were in a bank?
Oh, if you're in the bank, it's 0.5%.
Oh wow. Okay, so huge, huge difference.
Exactly. And again, like I said, the inflation is about 10% in UK. So if you're earning 0.5%, you're actually negative. So you need to be earning at least 10% and above. So index funds is a good one that, and again, the other thing to say about the stock market, over the last 30 years, the stock market has largely been going up.
Okay, I mean, why you want to now make me? I know I don't know anything about the stock market. And the point is,
Yeah.
you see when you hear on the news, it's usually some.
But that's
something.
on a day-to-day basis, and I think that is where education comes into, where you can separate the noise,
Okay.
because that's the noise. And again, it's also understanding there's a difference between trading and investing. Investing is long-term, trading is short-term.
So, what would you say is best for a beginner? Investment or trading?
Oh, definitely investment.
But would you say trading has its place at some
It
point?
does if you know what you're doing.
Okay, so that's like later.
Yeah, because trading really takes a lot of discipline, and that's one how you could usually lose all your money. That's high risk. I mean, again, you have to understand risk when it comes to the financial markets. Even in business, you have to understand risk and how to manage risk. But managing risk again comes from knowledge. The question is, what's informing your decision? But usually, once you've done your homework, then you sort of aware of the risk you're taking, and you can manage it better. And that, in my experience, goes from everything from real estate, agriculture, small businesses, stock market. Once you have an idea of what you're doing, you've done your homework, the risk is manageable.
Okay, so there's another thing that you just threw in slightly, and then you glossed over where you said, "Oh, you can start a business. You can start a business." Obviously, starting a business, you need a profitable business.
Yeah.
Don't you? So it's not just about starting a business; it's about starting a business that is actually going to bring in money
Yeah.
and a profit, not
Yeah.
just hair. So how? Okay, so I want to start a business. What do I do?
First, you have to. In fact, this is actually where that mentality comes in, because it's interesting being in Rwanda and supporting the widows in Rwanda. Sometimes it's just that light bulb, because most people, when they think of businesses, they're thinking of Microsoft.
Like, yeah, as opposed to
Come
small.
on.
Yeah.
That's why it says small businesses. And you can start. I'll give again. Let me just use Rwanda as an example, because people who are very poor, and they probably own a small plot of land, and it's like, okay, why don't you farm that? Maybe we'll give you the seeds or give you some money, little money, and then before you know it, they're making money from selling their produce, and then from that you buy more land. For that you can get bigger.
In my mind, I always feel like when you start a business, you kind of have to give it 3 to 5 years for it to become profitable, type of thing. I don't know where I got that from, but that's somewhere in my head. Is
Yeah.
that so? Like what you just described now, would they become profitable pretty much immediately, or
Within 3 months.
so? Why is that? Is it because we're just in the wrong business that it takes 3 to 5 years?
The 3 to 5 years depends on what you're setting up. This is just my own rule. Anything that takes more than 12 months to grow, I'm not interested.
Some things take more than 12 months.
Oh yeah, some take 3 years. Coffee, I was going to do coffee before, and when they told me 3 years, I said forget it.
Okay.
Things like tomatoes, 3 to 4 months. Bell peppers, 3 to 4 months, and you start harvesting. There are lots of horticultural products within 3 to 4 months. You start harvesting and start selling and start making money. I'm not saying that there's not things you need to learn and know about. It's not as easy as I make it out to be.
Yeah.
There's still some knowledge and information you have to gain. But yes, you're not waiting.
But is there like a great? I mean, I know you said because you work with this charity, which we're going to talk about your charity in a minute. But is there like a great layout outlay that you have to put to start?
No.
It's something like that.
No, that's the thing, because it depends on the size. So, for example, if you're just doing let's just say an acre of land and you're doing tomatoes, it might cost you. Number one, let me just use Rwanda as an example. It will probably cost you maybe £200 to rent that land for a year.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
And maybe your seeds and all that might cost you another £200. So maybe with £600, you're off and running.
Okay, but there's some people that don't have £600. I know you do charity and everything, but so effectively, there's no business that you can start from zero. I mean, I'm generalizing because you can't really answer this question, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's a business you can count with zero.
with zero.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones we're interested in.
Yeah, but you know how you do that.
How?
It's creative financing.
Oh, okay. Using other people's money.
Exactly.
That's what that is.
But creative financing means, let's just summarize it again. We don't have time. But bottom line is that when in a business, you have to bring something to the table. You're either going to bring money, the idea.
You see, the conversation I had with that gentleman that you made me speak to before, that's what he was saying.
Exactly. You have to bring something to the table. So sometimes you have no money. The question is, okay, are you bringing a good idea? So for example now, which is what actually I've done already, so I won't say it's an example, it's actually reality. Because of the farm I have in Rwanda, I now decided, okay, I want to expand. But now because I have the experience, I know the terrain, I'm going to run it. I just brought some investors together to say, okay, let's buy this land. I was able to raise $1 million and I didn't put a penny in there.
Wow.
And I own 15% of the business.
Wow.
But what I brought was
yeah. Okay.
But and that's an example. This is the principle you should take. I'm not saying go and raise $1 million, you know. But the principle is you can't start something with nothing, but you have to bring something to the table. You know.
Okay, so we've touched on money. You've sort of touched on why are you in Rwanda?
Oh, that's a spiritual calling. Spiritual calling. So just being obedient. Okay. I had a call in August 2004 to go and help the orphans and widows in Rwanda, and answered the call reluctantly. Got to Rwanda, light bulb went off. Found out why he sent me there, and like they say, the rest is history.
And so you're there, and you love it there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why I'm now based there. I now live there.
Yeah. So and what you do there most of the time is business, effectively. That's what you're doing. Your
charity, yes.
And charity. Okay, so you work with widows and orphans.
Yeah, although the widows and orphans now we just work with anyone that is in need. I think the widows and orphans came because of the genocide that happened in 1994.
Of course, yeah.
But I mean, we have less and less of that now, and just more people just are in poverty and need help. So
what's the name of your charity and what do you do?
It's called Solace Ministries.
Huh? I said let's even promote you small.
Yes.
It's called Solace
Ministries.
Yeah.
So it's called Solace Ministries. It was actually set up by a Rwandan in 1994, who was the survivor of the genocide himself. And like I said, I just met them in August 2004, then registered the charity in the UK. What I love about the charity is that it has a holistic approach to charity. So what we do is we build the individual, the family, and the community.
That's fantastic.
So in terms of the individual, we make sure that the kids go to school, they can afford to eat, pay their bills, or build homes for them, have a roof over their head. We have a health center, so we provide medical care, and then we have income generating projects that helps them, earn an income themselves. We have community projects too that they come together to support each other, counsel each other, give each other moral support. And we have about 60 communities scattered around the whole country, ranging from members of 50 to hundreds in each community. So yeah, it's...
And if somebody wanted to help out the charity, it's registered in the UK, so you can just Google it. I'll put something so that you can see. The other thing I wanted to talk about is your seminars.
Yeah.
So those of us that now want to be financially intelligent, is that the word?
Yes.
Educated, whatever the word is.
Financially literate.
Literate, thank you.
Yeah.
Financially literate. You have some seminar type things.
Yes, it's actually I have an online digitized course, so you can just go to www.nextgenflxcommunity.com.
Okay.
And just
don't worry, we'll put that there.
Yeah, just click on that and you can do the course. But the good thing about doing the course, obviously you have to pay for it, it's not free. But once you do the course or you sign on, you become a lifetime member of our online community of investors where they can then interact with me and ask me questions anytime they want to, because it's an online community. It also comes with an app. Okay. So you can respond to them, and I have a live session once a month, every month.
Okay, fantastic.
On that platform.
Fantastic. Okay, so effectively, we've spoken about money, which is what I kind of wanted to speak to you about because I think it's one of the things that's not spoken about. But we've also spoken about charity.
Yeah.
And I think what I would just say is, guys, what was your term? Financial ruin. And if you don't want to head into financial ruin and end up being broke when you retire, you need to change something. And you heard me argue with Remi that, look, there's some people that can't change anything. And he argued back that there's something we can change.
Yes.
So I guess the challenge then is go and find out what it is that you can change so that you can actually make a difference. We're going to put the details of Remi's two different, his charity and his courses, so that you can get involved. But I really think that I've watched Remi for a while, and I really think that, you know what, just do it. Just do it. Yeah, just do it, because it's worth it. And to be fair, just to respond to that thing about Christians and money, I actually think that as Christians, we need money, because how are we going to spread the word of God if we don't have the money? So it's one thing to say, oh, you can't have money as Christians, but exactly, I mean, we could go into a long debate about this, and I'm not going to, but yeah, just do something. So thank you very much.
Pleasure.
I hope you'll come back to talk about something else that is nothing to do with money.
Yes. Talk about football.
No, not football. Anyway, we'll have him back to talk about something else. Until next time, don't forget to rock your own gorgeous.